What's up guys, welcome back to another episode of this Cressida build. Obviously yeah, same clothes as last episode, same day, just new video. Obviously it's pretty hard to gauge how long the episodes are going to be as you're going and filming, because I sort of forget how much content I film, so apologies if the last episode was too long or too short, I don't actually know. But back here, I'm just trying to get a fair bit of content built up before Christmas, because I won't be out here at headquarters for like probably a little while over Christmas, and I want to make sure I can keep to my 2 videos a week schedule for you guys. So anyway, back here as we left it. So basically what I am planning on doing is cutting out this top radiator support panel and basically making it a bolt-in. I'll probably use 2 bits of angle to actually do 2 bits of angle that bolt it back on. But basically having this bolt-in, bolt-out just makes it that much easier to get motor and box in and out of the car. You all know how much I hate dealing with bell housing bolts and that sort of thing. Obviously with the LS it sits a bit far forward, which is good to get access to them, but it's still a lot easier if everything's V-banded. If you've got pretty good plugs like quick disconnect on your loom, and this is bolt in, bolt out, it makes it a very easy job to sort of unbolt everything and just pull motor and box straight out the front. Saves heaps of mucking around. So obviously it's not going to be a street car, so it doesn't really matter that I'm going to cut the radiator support panel. Being bolt in with angle, it's still going to have plenty of structural integrity when it's actually bolted in, and it just makes it that much easier to work on when it's necessary to work on it. Also, obviously now that I'm running a cell and I need to run, these fuel lines are only like 5/16, they're just not quite big enough for basically a turbo LS and E85. I'm not going to be able to get enough flow through them, so I'm going to need to go to 3/8 fuel line. So like I said, I'll be running up this side. I won't be using them, so that's where the dump's going to be now, and turbo's going to be on this side. Now I was going to take them fuel lines off, but the rear brake line actually runs through all the same blocks. So the rear brake line runs the whole way down. So at this stage I'm going to leave them on because it's just more work having to take them off that I don't really need to do. Like I said in the last episode, I plan on getting a Series 1 and using Series 1 non-ABS brake stuff. So if I need to put the Series 1 brake line in, obviously I'll have to take the Series 2 one out, and at that point I'll remove all the lines then. But if I can get away with just running the Series 2 rear brake line, hopefully I can. I'm not sure if it just runs to the bias controller or if it runs all the way up to the ABS module. I haven't traced it yet, but I'll just see how that goes when I get there. But anyway, so this is what I'm working at now. Just got to pull out, there's a loom that runs across here for your headlights, so you got to make sure you pull all that out before you go cutting into it, obviously, or that would be bad, but that's what I'm working on at the moment. That's what we're doing. So basically I'm going to cut it pretty much in line with this rear part of the support for the headlight. So basically cut the support panel around there, which is sort of where I got it marked. I want to leave enough on that, that's where the actual radiator bolt's on. So I don't want that to be clashing with anything, so I'm going to try and leave it like a fair bit of room over there. I'm going to shorten up these bolts too, they don't need to be that long, that's the intercooler mount bolts. And obviously once I've got everything sorted, my oil cooler and everything else in the front here, I'll paint all this black. I'll paint the rear where I cut it, and paint over the rust and stuff, paint the intercooler black, all that'll get painted up. But there's not much point in painting it now when I've still got stuff to mount, because I'm still going to have to drill and do stuff, so I'll just wait until that's done for that. But yeah. Righto, so I've got these bits of scrap steel that we just had down in the paddock. I'm going to use these to make the brackets out of, to remount my support brace. Now I've marked out my cut points on the brace, and so 2 things that are pretty important to consider when you're doing this sort of modifications. Firstly, what else has got to be mounted. So for me it's pretty easy because most of the stuff's deleted. The headlight doesn't actually mount to the support brace at all. Nothing's going to clash with it there. It's basically just the radiator mounts, so I've put them on so that I can make sure I'm not going to build a bracket that's going to clash with where those are going to go. The second thing, that's basically it's a lot easier to make these sorts of brackets before you cut the support panel. Obviously once you cut the support panel, there's not really any going back. There's not really any way you can put it back up in there. It becomes a real pain in the ass. So if you actually manufacture your bracket on the complete panel before you cut it, shape it up, drill your holes, have it all ready to go. It's a lot easier to do it in that order than to try and cut it and then try and hold it up and line it up and drill your holes, and it just ends up looking like crap. So it's basically what I'm doing here. So all I'm going to do, I've got just a bit of cardboard, just use a bit of cardboard and some scissors and a pen, and obviously I want my bracket to follow the lines and follow the contour of the support brace, and look pretty and presentable like it was meant to be there. So use a bit of cardboard just to make sort of a net and a shape that you can trace out onto your bit of angle. Trace it out, cut it up, use a hammer, panel beat it on so it's nice and fits nice and well, and then drill your holes, have it all drilled ready to go, and after that you're right to cut your support panel off. So that's the order I'm doing it in. I find it a lot easier to do that. I've made the mistake before of just cutting stuff out and then trying to make a bracket to refit it. It's just a pain in the ass. It's a lot easier to make the bracket before you go cutting stuff up. So pro tip, guys, always better to make less work for yourself if you can. So I've got my cardboard nets made up, basically in where they're gonna be. This process is a lot faster than trying to continually cut and fit with steel.
There you go.
So that's sort of how they work. Basically just pull them off, trace them onto your steel, and you can cut them out, and then obviously, like I said, panel beat them, bend them up, get them drilled and stuff while everything's still in place. All right, so now we've got our plates on the support brace, and they're sort of bolted in. You can see, because of the way the support brace is actually shaped, there's a bit of a gap. At this point, I'm not super worried about that because the support brace is actually, in fact, very thin. And once it's actually cut at these areas, once these are tight, I'm pretty sure the support brace will just basically form into the bracket, because the bracket's a lot stronger than the support brace is. So that's pretty much what it looks like. So got most of them pretty well lined up. The bolt holes may look totally random, but they are in fact not. They are actually just where they had to be as far as clearing this panel up in there. There's a few other holes and stuff you had to clear that I had to clear out. So, and obviously making sure that the bolts don't clash, because if you bolt them in line, but they've got to clash on the bottom side. So although it looks totally random, it's definitely not totally random. And once I've got this cut and bolted back in, I might put some in the top side as well. Sort of in there just to give it a bit more support, but either way it should still be strong as, and obviously this is going to make it a lot easier to get motor and box in and out. So I'm going to go ahead and take these plates off and now cut through it and grind it off. See you later, see you bye. Thanks for coming. So you can see after a quick cut, finished product. This is going to make it real easy to unbolt, get this loom down out of the way, and motor can go in and out easily. And as I stated, it's very, very thin, this stuff. So basically now I'll put these plates on, do them up tight, make sure it's going to look alright, everything's going to be fine. And yeah, looks good to me. Alright, so here it is all done, bolted up tight. Honestly, it's probably a little bit overboard, probably a little over-engineered, but it's strong as. It is, yeah, super strong. Just put an extra bolt at the back of each one, just to stop this piece from trying to twist down. Obviously, because where the radiator mounts, that's what it's going to be trying to do if it does drop, which it shouldn't because it's supported from the bottom. But yeah, that's pretty much how it looks. Obviously, not very pretty at the moment. I will paint it all up. But now I have a bolt-in, bolt-out radiator support panel, which is just going to make life a whole lot easier when it comes to working on this thing. So obviously, I'm stoked to make things easier for myself because yeah, it's frustrating. So that's awesome. So it looks. Stoked, glad, mint, awesome, great. The next task is going to be basically cutting out everything in the front support panel that I don't want there. So for starters, as far as intercooler piping goes, my plan is to come out of the inlet slash outlet, run around this top side of this support panel for the Rio, and basically run up through this area of under the headlight, which is just nothing area that I can cut out. I'll probably do that. This side's going to be the side that actually goes to intake, so it's probably going to come out around there and then up through this area and then up into the LS1 throttle body. Obviously running it through there eliminates it encroaching on my area that I want for my auxiliary water tank. This side I'd be happy to pretty much run straight down through this hole and then out the front if it's going to be easier, because obviously once this is cut out, there's going to be plenty of room for my 3-inch intercooler pipe from the turbo. There's also going to be plenty of room for my 4-inch intake pipe for my pod. But basically either way, I want to cut out these panels on both sides. I want to cut out pretty much as that as I want, or that I can, because it's going to be just a lot easier for running everything through. And I want to cut out this in front of the guard. So basically we're going to work on doing that. Pretty much just dummy up the headlights, see where it is. Alright, so just like that, dummy up the headlights, find which bottom holes you need for your headlights, and basically everything under that I can pretty much cut out, doesn't need to be there. I want to leave this upright, at least a bit of this upright panel, so I'll probably cut down here, just to give that a bit, give that a bit of rigidity. I don't want to cut out that whole panel because it takes a lot of the structural rigidity out of this. So basically just cut down and across, and basically you can see there's a fair bit of that I can cut out. So I'm just going to mark that and basically go ape shit. And as you can see down here, this is just literally a nothing panel that can get cut out, and all of that can get cut out. So that's pretty much the P-land. So I'm going to do that. Pretty much just going to use the air hacksaw and the grinder where I can. I'm out of blades for the air hacksaw, so I'll use it in the tighter spots, and where I can get away with the grinder, I'll use the grinder. And yeah, after that, that's pretty much the front end. Pretty well sorted, except for mounting the cooler and that sort of stuff when it gets here. But yeah, it's looking good. So after some pretty extensive cutting, here's what we're left with. As you can see, from both sides, just in front of the wheel wells there, I've just cut out that bit of the nothing panel. Obviously this is going to help with mounting oil coolers and stuff for actual airflow, and on this side is going to be my pod filter intake, which is going to be nice and cool, straight off the track. It's going to be great. Obviously up here I cut this big hole out as well underneath where the headlight goes, so if I do decide to run my intercooler piping through there, I've got plenty of room to run it around and down into the cooler. Alternatively, like I said, I may run it through there. Well, the same on this side. This side's definitely going to get cooler piping through it to keep all this room for my auxiliary tank. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And yeah, just the bottom of this guard the same way the other way is, and now I've got a nice big hole. I can fit my 4-inch pipe, everything through there. Just cut it out with the grinder as best I could, basically up to all the corners as far as I could with the grinder, and then just finished it off with the air hacksaw. Obviously I tried to minimize how much I could do with the air hacksaw because I'm down to my last blade, but it all worked out pretty good. Just clean up all the edges with a file and it looks grouse. I'm pretty stoked. So that's just about the front end sorted. Obviously once everything's mounted that I want, this will all get painted so it doesn't rust and sealed. Everything will be nice and good. But yeah, that's essentially the front end the way I wanted to get it tonight. So I'm pretty happy with that for now, and I'm just going to do a fair bit of cleaning up because obviously I need to. Got crap everywhere, need to clean up a bit. So most of the front end's back together, tied it up a fair bit, but the shed's just getting absolutely swarmed, infested by all these flying bugs. I don't really know what they are, so basically I'm just going to have to turn on some car lights out the front and turn the shed lights off and try and get rid of them all, I think, because this is outrageous. Righto guys, so we sort of managed to get rid of all the bugs. We pretty much just had to turn all the lights off for like 20 minutes or so and have a couple of beers and just wait for them to piss off. Anyways, back in here, I've cleaned up the ground, everything's cleaned up, front end's back together. It's all looking pretty good, it's all solid as, and I am pretty absolutely happy with the efforts that's going on with this over the weekend. So anyway, I'm going to call it a night there. I'm going to give Rex a hand. We're doing a gearbox thing, which you'll see very soon, so keep tuned on the channel for that video. And I will see what I can go on with on this in the morning. A few things I want to do. I really want to start getting sorted my seat mount for my driver's seat. The Cressida rails are a bit weird, and I'm not sure how I'm going to build that, so I'm going to have to sort that out sometime soon. But anyway, I'll work on that in the morning, so we'll see you then.